Well, good morning and welcome back to another video. A bit of a frantic start this morning because as I was looking at the news I realised a lot of the highways have been closed. Now the problem we've been having, like I said in my previous video, the weather's been absolutely atrocious and we've had a ton of rain. Now what that rain's brought is we've actually had landslides on some of the major highways, so at the moment you're limited to where you can travel, so that's a bit unfortunate because I did have plans on going further inland, so I'm not going to be able to do that today. They've actually limited the amount of fuel that you can get at the gas stations. You're only allowed 30 litres. Now there was a forecast of mist and fog this morning. We've got that, it's great, it really looks well. Now I made my way here and I pulled over on the side of the road in Pit Meadows there. I always like stopping off at Pit Meadows if I'm ever coming to Golden Ears. And the great thing was we had some lovely morning fog and some mist just before the sunrise there, so I quickly pulled over in the car and tried to capture some images and some video to show you. So if they've turned out, I'll put them on the screen above. But I'm actually leading my way down through this forest here. I've just pulled over in the car and I've stopped at my favourite location again because we've got this atmosphere and we've got some mist and fog. I wanted to run in here to see if I could find a composition before I move further on. Really want to utilise this fog, so it's not very often that you get it in here, so that's why I pulled over. So I'm gonna look around here, see if I can find my first image, and I'm possibly going to retake the image that I took in my last video because we've got some atmosphere. It's still in here today, there's no breeze at all, so that's great. So I'm really looking forward to what we can capture this morning before we lose these conditions, before we lose that fog, and we'll see how we get on. But it's great to be back out and bring you guys another video, so I hope you enjoy today's video. So this is the first composition I'm going to go for. I really like it. It's nice and early morning. We've got some lovely atmosphere in the background there. We've got all this colour. Now the good thing today compared to my last video is not only have we got that atmosphere in the background, it's still, there's no breeze whatsoever today. So that means I'm going to be able to get it all in one shot. Now I'm going to take this shot at f/16. I'm going to focus on this immediate stump to my left hand side, and that's going to get everything sharp that I want sharp. So the reason I like this composition, I love this stump, I love the way the light's coming in and it's casting the light on the side of this stump. Now to the far left hand side we've got a thickish branch and it's got some lovely thick moss on, but it's catching that light. You'll be able to see it catching the light down the front and the side of the moss there. And it really draws your eye through the scene because we've got this opening and it's letting that reflective light in. It really comes through right to the foreground and it gives you a nice natural vignette around the edges of the image there, and then you've got this vibrant colour in the centre. So I'm going to be taking this at 24mm. I want a nice wide shot. I'm separating all these trees. There's some nice dark fronts on these trees, some highlights on the edges, so it really draws your eye through the scene. I'm putting the polarizer on to take any glare. We've got quite a bit of glare in the mid-ground because these leaves that's on the forest floor here, they're quite shiny, so I'm using the polarizer to get rid of that completely. It's really going to make it vibrant and rich. You'll remember in my last video those mosses were lovely and green with that splash of orange in the centre. Because that sky is quite bright, even though there's no sunshine there, some of that fog's being backlit by the early morning light that's coming up, so I'm getting harsh highlights in the top of the image there. So I'm using a 0.6 grad, and that's controlling that sky for us, so that's great. But a nice little image to start the day. You know, got them images on the way in. I don't know how they've turned out, but it was lovely to see that early morning fog and that mist over the fields there, over the blueberry fields. We had those trees in amongst the mist, so it looked really nice. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those images turned out as well. I didn't have time to vlog it because it was literally just when I was on the way here. I thought I'm going to pull over, grab a couple of images, grab some video, and that's what I did. So I'm going to get back to the camera now, make the most of these conditions this morning and see how we get on. So I was really pleased with the first shot that we managed to capture. It is a bit of a rush when you've got these conditions, because you really want to make sure that you capture them the best that you can before it disappears, because sometimes it can hang around for longer than you think, and other times it can just literally disappear within minutes. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this composition. This is the composition that I took in the previous video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put it on the screen above and you'll be able to see us talking about this composition a bit more in depth. But basically it's going to be the same as last week. I'm just wanting a wide perspective on this scene. I've raised the camera up to show a bit more of this background, because we have got that fog there. We've got some lovely light coming in. It's nice and still, so I'm going to be able to get it at a longer shutter speed, round about 5 seconds, believe it or not, because we don't have any movement at all, so that's great. So the difference in comparison to the way I took it last time I actually had to focus stack it, but today I'm just going to grab it all in one shot at f16. I'm putting the polarizer on just to make these greens really vibrant and the oranges in the mid-ground there. I'm getting some nice highlights. I've managed to separate the trees, and we'll see how it turns out. Now, the sky is a little bit bright, so I've put a 0.6 grad in to control that, and that means I can really bring up this foreground and brighten the foreground up. Now, even though it's an image that I took last time, it's always good to compare the images. You know, you can really see the difference with having that fog in the background, because what happens is it actually gives the image a bit of separation, and that's why fog and mist sometimes helps with images, especially scenes like this, because scenes like this can look pretty busy without that. So having that atmosphere in the background there just helps with the separation a bit. So I'm going to get back and grab this shot, and we'll see if we can find something else before I move on. So luckily we're still getting some of that fog in the background. It'd be nice if it encroached in the forest a bit more, but it's not doing that this morning. So the composition I've came across here, I really want to feature this stump. Look at the size of it. It must have been huge many years ago before. Unfortunately it was chopped down, but now it's been taken over by mosses and grasses, and we've got the mosses on the branches of the saplings coming out this trunk, and we've got some colour there in the foreground. So I really want to fill the left hand side of the frame with this stump, and then we're going to have all this colour to the right hand side leading off into that background where we've got some nice mist there this morning. It really is nice. You can just see some of the mountains poking the way through in the background there, but every now and again that fog and the mist thickens again, so it really gives it a bit of separation there. Now, same as before, we've got no breeze still, so that's great. It's thumbs up from me today, the fact we've no breeze and we've no rain. So I'm going to get away with shooting this shot at f16. I'm going to focus directly on this stump, and that's going to get everything in focus that I want in focus. Putting the polarizer on to take some of the glare off these leaves that we've got along the forest floor. They are quite shiny, so getting a bit of glare off them. I'm going to continue to use that graduated filter. It's been great. It's really helping out with that sky. It does get bright from time to time. You'll actually be able to see, well, you might not be able to see, but that mountain's disappeared again, so that fog's thickened up. So I'm going to get back and grab it while we've still got it, and then see if I can come across anything else. If I can't come across another composition in this area, I'm going to move further down the road into another stretch of forest that I was on about earlier on. There's actually a roadway that leads along the bottom of the viewpoint that you can see, and you'll be able to see how we get the fog and mist. It always lingers around the edges. I would like it to come a lot further in to give us that separation that you need in this location, and that's what's really important, because if you haven't got that, it tends to look busy at times. So I'm at the amphitheater now. It's about a 2-kilometre drive further up the road. It's a great stretch of forest. You'll be able to see we've got these huge vines in comparison to the size of me, laden with that really rich, vibrant green moss. Now, as I got out the car, we still had a lot of fog, and we still do have, but the thing with this location is very rarely does the fog penetrate the forest itself. Now, when it does, it really creates drama and atmosphere to the scene. Now, what I wanted to do is utilise these two vines that you can see in the foreground, really fill the frame and show off the size of them with these mosses hanging off. So I've got it up really close with the 24mm to emphasise the size of them vines in the foreground. And we'll be able to see how big the ferns are. The ferns are huge in this area. Now, I've got a bit of sheen on them today, so I'm going to use a polarizer to take some of that sheen off. I don't want to take too much of the sheen off, because if you take too much off, it actually reduces the depth. So having a little bit of sheen gives the image a bit more depth. So don't always turn the polarizer fully, and it's going to really saturate those colours as well. So I don't like to do it so much when we've got so much greenery, and this is green. So you're going to have those leading vines in the foreground, and I've made sure that they come out the centre of the image and they lead out to the edges, really showing off those mosses. There's a continuation of these vines leading over, so what I've made sure to do is, so I wanted to make it so we've got these framing the edges, and in the centre you've got these ferns, and then you can see the base of this vine behind my right shoulder. It's really important not to cut it off, so people can actually see where the vine starts from the left and then it goes over to the right. So it's probably going to be a 16:9 or maybe a pano. I'm trying not to include that sky. They are, you know, bright spots in the sky, and because there's no fog there, it doesn't look too pleasing. So I'm going to try and keep the sky out the shot as much as I can. And yeah, so it's a bit of a frantic day today, really chasing those conditions. I would like to have come here first, but I was drawn to that area straight away because I know there's so much colour. So we'll try this image, see how it works out. I'll put it on the screen above. I might swap out the lenses, try the 35. So if I take a shot with the 35, I will put that up as well. But I think it's going to work best with the 24 to get a nice wide perspective on it. So we'll see how it works out, and I'll put it on the screen above. But what a beautiful location. Well guys, as you'll be able to see behind us, it's a lot later in the morning now. We've lost a lot of that mist that we were enjoying first thing, but it's been an absolute brilliant day. I've really enjoyed it. Golden Ears saves the day again. It's a bit unfortunate that I couldn't make it to the destination that I had planned to go to today because of these landslides and the major highways are closed off, and I can only put 30 litres of gas in my car, so Golden Ears had to do for today. But it was brilliant. Got up first thing, we had that fog, went out to Pit Meadows. It's always nice to head towards Pit Meadows as I'm heading to Golden Ears, because you never know what you're going to see. And we were graced with that early morning thick fog with a view of the mountains in the background, and the mountains are starting to get snow capped now, so it's quite nice to see. And then I ventured to my favourite location where I was in my last video. Hopefully I got a couple of images to show you in there, and then I managed to bring you to the amphitheater where I can show off these great big vines. So it's been an absolute blast, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I really do. So if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a comment below. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on my images and my video. It'd be much appreciated. I always like going through your comments, and I always reply. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, also much appreciated. If you haven't seen my channel before, hit the subscribe button. But from me in Golden Ears Provincial Park, see you again soon. Bye bye.